So welcome back to another podcast. Now, I know you haven't already watched this video, but if you can, just get it out of the way and like the video now. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. Hit the notification bell so that you get notified when new videos are released, and comment below if you have anything you want to say about this video. So today's podcast, we interviewed the guys from Taxi App. Now, Taxi App has changed. What it was before to what it is now is completely different. And from what we discussed here today, it was amazing. I really am impressed. I really think it's something that all of us should get behind. It's something that you should be on. So there's no longer the fee each month. It's commission based at 10% commission, which is super reasonable. So if you can get behind it, you will help, at the very least, create better competition, which will bring down the commission prices from other app providers and make it better for you. Or at the very best, create an exclusive app that's exclusively for taxi drivers that will only benefit the trade. So I hope you enjoy this video. And as I said, like, subscribe, and notify and comment. Enjoy. What are we doing here today, Paul?
We have the gentleman from Taxi App.
Taxi App.
Taxi App UK.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll go into a little bit of a story about how I was involved in Taxi App.
Yeah.
During the lockdown, 2020, we're talking, you, yourself, Phil and Damien came to see me here.
Yeah, correct.
And we were talking about doing a bit of promotion on our cabs.
Mm-hmm.
So putting
Liveries.
the liveries on the cabs, Taxi App, just helping with promoting the cooperative. And I said, yeah, that'd be great. I was already a Taxi App member.
Mm-hmm.
I knew Damien before he was even involved in Taxi App, and I said to him, I'm more than happy to help you push the app. And I knew that a few other fleets were involved as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, we just wanted to get it moving for the trade, really.
So I've got Ben and Phil. Ben, what's your surname? Just
Ben Black.
So I've got Ben Black and Phil
Ferrigno.
Verino from Taxi App. Ben, you're an investor?
Yes.
And you're a new investor, or you've been involved for a while?
No, I'm a new investor.
Okay.
We're all new investors. That's the...
This is what I'm catching up on. So I'm a bit out of sync. Something has changed with Taxi App recently. And there's something I've been hearing about someone getting the ump about you stole the app and stuff like that is going on.
Yeah, well, let me sort of jump in. So Taxi App is now Taxi App Partnership.
Yep.
It's completely greenfield, I suppose you would call it, venture. Sort of Ben sort of got in contact about a year ago, I believe.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was in the city actually in the evening trying to get a taxi back, and I was trying everything. I tried Get and Free Now and Uber and everything. I couldn't find anything. And eventually I looked online and I said, there's another app called Taxi App, and I downloaded it and I got a taxi straight away.
Right.
And I was speaking to the driver. I said, this is strange, this worked brilliantly. And he spoke to me. It was about 45 minutes to get home. And he spoke to me for 45 minutes saying, this app is great. The drivers own it. And the problem is it's not very good. It's had no investment. So I was thinking, well, this could be brilliant. So I got in touch with the guys then, and here we are.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So like I said, about a year ago, I think you got in contact. We had a meeting, and it was very apparent that we both kind of had the same idea of what was needed.
Yep.
And what needed to be implemented. It's one thing having an app, it's completely another thing having an app that's actually going to work and do what it says on the tin, because ultimately that's what we want. And so there's different components, which are, you need investment, you need the right people, you need the right technology. And so together it just seemed to really click that we were both coming at it,
Yes, plus
to make it work.
You do need the drivers to use it.
Of course.
So what's been preventing drivers from using it?
I think it's not one sort of situation. That everyone's got a slightly different view on it. But, what we've done now is give drivers 42% share. So as drivers work and do jobs, you get points, and eventually, hopefully when there's a profit share, we're going to share those points as cash back to the drivers, which ultimately kind of reduce the percentage that they're paying. So it's part of their company.
I think it's probably worth taking a step back, because when I met the guys, they were very clear. They said they said drivers owning their own app is absolutely the right model.
Yes,
but we need investment. And we were sitting there thinking, we're all massive fans of black cabs. What makes London different? I've got young kids. I wouldn't trust them anywhere else other than the black cab. They're all all over London. And we were sitting there saying, so what's preventing this? And it was cash. How do you can't just build an app. These things are expensive. You need to build a proper business. It's not about the app. It's about building a community.
Yeah.
You need great tech, and you need professional managers who have done this before. And you don't do that with no money. You need to find a way to put enough investment in to build all that stuff. So that was the complicated thing. And what was interesting at the start, it was very good. Martin and Phil especially, who are the two we dealt with, were like, whatever you do, we'd love your money. We'd love to find a way to do this, and we can all go off and find professional managers to run it, but it cannot be Halo. Right? That was the thing they said from the start. And so right at the out, and that was the thing that took so much time. It was we started off calling them the not Halo principles. And actually it was Martin I dealt with most, but he was like, three things that you can never do. Right? You must never sell this. Right? That's what everyone is so upset about. Halo was great when it came in.
Yes.
And then they sold it. And he said, you can never sell this. And if you're investing money in something that you can't sell, well, that's like, okay, that's a bit of a different investment.
Yeah, true.
And then the other two things they said, which were less complicated, but they said, you must never be able to increase commissions. You can always decrease commissions, but if you start off at 10%, you must never be able to increase commissions. And then the third, not Halo principle, was you must never, ever do private hire. So that was the bit that took a long time. How do you build those three golden rules, the not Halo principles, into the company Arkle's infrastructure before you're allowed to invest? So that was the complicated bit from a kind of investment point of view.
So the private hire aspect, I have quite extreme views on the private hire aspect.
Let's hear them.
Well, they're the contrary. I actually don't mind it. I don't just have the private hire. This is some sort of pride thing for me that we don't want the private hire on the same app, but seeing private hire on the same app doesn't bother me in the slightest as seeing it on a black cab. But the black cab drivers don't completely agree with that. They really want some form of separation, as if we are drastically.
I think customers do as well, Dean. I think customers would like the idea of just a black cab app, and I think that with the right backing, it could work really nicely. You know, and.
I mean, we've had a bit of market research, and that's actually a lot of our customers, loyal black cab customers. They don't want, they don't want, cars turning up. Some other apps, that's what they actually do. You know, if they can't get your black cab, they'll just send you a car without even notifying you.
Yeah, I mean, that is true.
And customers have actually, told us that in market research. So.
I'm somewhere in between. I think it's really, when you start a business, businesses are easy if you've just got one thing you do, and doing just black cabs doesn't make the marketing, the business vision easier. And you're right, at some point someone might say, look, actually it would be better, and the only way you could add private hire is if a majority of the voters agreed with you and said, actually this is now the right time, this is a good idea. So it's never, but the drivers would have to vote for it, and you can't see that happening in the next couple of years. It's
not happening. They are very much black and white sometimes, the drivers. They have an idea in their mind that isn't based on any real thought out principle. It's more of a discriminatory thing. I don't like private hire, and regardless of whether it benefits or whether we can see a way through it, I want nothing to do with it. I do see, and have from the very, very beginning, that the idea of taxi app is absolutely the best in terms of driver owned, driver controlled, and I don't understand why every cab driver isn't on it to support it and grow it and help push it. I don't understand that part.
Yeah, I've spent many nights thinking the same thing, and there isn't one simple solution. I think many different cab drivers have different sort of different issues with why they ain't joining it. But, I think there's a brand new sort of push now. We've got new marketing. Cab drivers are going to see it. We've recently relaunched the app, which is nice and smooth and working and stable. So, the reasons, the barriers for entry for drivers joining is actually, coming down.
Yeah.
And that's, as I see as my role within it, is to try to make it as appealing as possible to get as many drivers on it. Because ultimately, service is king on any app. So we need to get as many drivers on as possible.
So is it free now? No, sorry. That's,
Drop one there, mate.
Well, they're very clever with their marketing. I mean, you've actually, is it free for drivers to use now?
Well, we did do a session of free, and at the moment it's doing 10% plus VAT, but we're also giving sort of £5. So every job that you do on taxi app at the moment, you get a fiver on top of the fare.
Oh.
Yeah, so we've got a big marketing push for customers. They're sort of getting vouchers, and so we've got lots of stuff in the pipeline. Obviously, when we transferred over to the new app, there's a bit of a sort of lag where we got to onboard all these drivers, get them all trained up, get them all ready, and then obviously now push with customers.
How long's the new app been on the market?
Not long at all, a few weeks.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's interesting when we invested, we thought there were 4 big hurdles to making this work. The first one was finding a decent management team. This is not easy. People who can run and grow communities and tech businesses aren't, they're very hard to find and expensive. So the first key, could we find a management team? And that kind of was the biggest hurdle, and we found the right people. So we're super excited about that.
So you got a new team on board.
Yeah, new team.
Yeah.
And then,
so I was going to say there's a good blend. I mean, straight away when we spoke, I stuck my hand up. I mean, I know my limitations. And I think it's important, you stick your hand up when you think, well, we need someone who actually has done this professionally. Yeah. And so very early on, that's what we agreed, and we've got a really good team now. And there's a good mix between cab drivers and professionals, and they're working really hard. And
can I get a bit of historical background? Was you involved from the very beginning, Phil?
Yes.
And were you involved because you knew how to make apps, or you just involved with the idea that I think we can do this?
I've always been into technology, all different kinds of technology, but the actual driving force for me was actually, I could see very early on that the cab trade needed its own, because there are pitfalls of relying on other apps.
Yes.
So, and that's what really drove me. It was that I knew that the cab trade does need apps. If we all agree that apps are not going to disappear, then we should have.
Well, they're not, are they? I mean,
exactly.
I now don't leave the restaurant without hailing the cab before I get up out my seat. So that is going to become the norm for lots of people in lots of situations. So yes, you need to actually.
Exactly. So then the next question is, do we need our own? What's the benefits of having our own? And not just that, I think apps going forward along the sort of tech road, as a trade, we throw a lot of our data under the bus. Most cab drivers. So one of our problems at the moment is we don't have a lot of numbers of cab drivers coming through. So how can we actually use technology to improve our service level? Yeah. And by giving that data of which areas do you work most, where do you have less downtime, which ranks are busy, which stations, it improves traffic flow, it improves our own sort of, our own efficiency. Yeah. And so that's really what I want to push further down the field as well. So that will help with numbers in our service.
Who's working on the tech side now then? You have a new team developing the app? Or?
We've got a team, we use another company that we've gone to. And so, they have their own sort of tech stack and team.
That was the interesting thing. Ride-hailing apps are not new now. And when we started doing the research, there are 4 big software houses that all do ride-hailing apps. So the question was, could we choose the right partners? And whilst they're all ride-hailing apps, black cabs are absolutely unique. So we need to find the right development partner who bought into the vision, so would invest a load of money with us, and also had the ability to tailor it so that it was actually for black cabs. Yeah. So that's taken 3 months and quite a lot of sleepless nights. And that was brilliant when we worked out who the right partners were, and they've been brilliant so far. Yeah. So I'd say it's now launched and it's stable, but it's fantastically exciting. All the things that drivers have been screaming for, how to make more of tips. There's so many people out there who would love to tip more and guarantee the cab is going to arrive, and happy to throw 10, 20 pounds to make sure it does. So there's so many good stuff, good things coming. Yeah. And it's quite a nice blend, a professional management team who can do product development with a bunch of founders, drivers there who can feed in from all the other drivers saying, this is the priority, this is what we need. So
exactly, because the passion on its own is not enough. You need that driving passion, but you need that professionalism. And that's the blend what I think we've achieved. And hopefully we'll see the results of that soon. Yeah. So to any cab driver out there, jump on board. Yeah.
So you are a cab driver. You've been a cab driver for how many years?
10 years.
Oh, so you're almost a butter boy minus 3. Yeah. Not quite.
What's a butter boy?
Well, we have a debate about this. This is a kind
of...
You
don't know that and you're investing in us?
There is...
I'm not sure I want to know.
Yeah. They argue about, for about... God knows how long. I think it's an old phrase that refers to the fact that you are just a boy. Generally, you would have to have your first license.
This is a butter boy factory where you're sitting. Yeah. It's a butter boy factory. It is a factory of butter boys. Yeah.
And what's your background, Ben? Sorry.
I was just going to ask that.
Oh,
you just beat me to it.
Sorry, mate.
Amazing.
I can answer you both at the same time. Yeah. I was a lawyer in the city originally, and then when I was 30, so 20 plus years ago now, I started a childcare business. And it's tough. We used to run nurseries and lots of agencies. And we had a big idea in about 2003. We built this website called Emergency Childcare. And the promise was to get you a nanny or a nursery anywhere in the country on a moment's notice. And it was a good time to be doing it. It was just when you could write software rather than giving people a disk. You could build a bunch of software. And we started selling that as a corporate service to large companies. So the Googles and Goldman Sachs and Barclays. So we still have the childcare business. Actually, it's called Mayahana. But the tech, we built a big tech business in the end, which we sold 3 or 4 years ago. Okay. And now you're wondering what to do next. And you've gone into this as being something to gamble on you, basically, aren't you? I'm not sure if it's a gamble. When we looked at it, it's my it's my next door neighbour, my brother, my cousin who got together, and we're all big users of London Taxi. So it was the opportunity. I mean, go back to the start. If we can build something which we've done, that the drivers own and they feel like owners, it's going to be great for everyone. And even if it doesn't work, we will force the existing operators to be better and lower commissions. So we kind of thought, it's a win-win. We've got a chance to do something great and make London better.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I like it because I think we got to a point where with the older model, with the cooperative model, it was starting to become repetitive. It was starting to become, we need more drivers, and then we were losing drivers at the same time. And I don't feel like we were getting anywhere with that. We weren't pushing ourselves enough. Or I could say we were pushing ourselves a lot and we weren't getting in very far with that. And ride-hailing businesses need to be invested in. I mean, if you look at any of the balance sheets of the other competitors, they're all in a minus because they're constantly pumping money in. How can we compete with that? How can, as a small group of drivers, how can we compete with that? We needed a partner. That's my view. And I said when I came on board that I would support it whichever way it went. I was pragmatic. I wanted to know what both sides were, but I was within. I was thinking to myself, well, whoever goes to, it's whatever was right for us at the time, right for the trade. It's difficult. It's a very difficult junction.
Well, I think we've got that question ourselves. Yeah. I mean, the bits, I said at the start, 3 hurdles. Could we find a management team? Could we make the tech great, which we're on with now? Yeah. Could we convince the drivers that they really are owners and it will be good? Well, we're idiots if we can't convince them, because that bit is absolutely true. Yeah. But the key is, and this is, I throw this out there, the key, once the drivers really do realise they are owners and feel like owners, can you convince the punters to come on board? So, when someone's in your cab and they book through Get or Free Now, and you say, look, great, but I'd love you to use Taxi App next time because I get more of the fare. See, we was doing that, weren't we? We was converting the drivers over from the other apps, but then they were using the app and they were disappointed with the app because they weren't getting the driver. Exactly. So it was like you were filling the bath up without a plug hole. Churn. Yeah, but they're expecting it on a plate. The churn was too high. I think churn was too high. Plug you were missing, not the plug hole. Plug hole. This is why you're here. This is why you come on board. We needed you. Yeah, no. The churn was high. Churn rate. Yeah, and the logical argument is if you keep trying to do something over a period of time and it doesn't work, then you need to stop and ask yourself something's not right. Yes. Yeah. And so if you can't climb over the wall, then maybe I've got to get a ladder. Yeah, of course. As brilliant as the idea was of the cooperative, it only got us to a certain junction, and then we had to decide whether it was time to carry on or help or get help. And do you think with the cooperative it was a case of too many cooks as well, dipping their hand in and their opinions in and trying to, I want it to go this way, you want it to go that way? It's like any business, you've got to have a board and you've got to make decisions, and if there's lots of people, you've got to have a vote, haven't you? Yes, but making a decision amongst 10 people on a board is easier than making a decision amongst 1,000 people who are all fighting against their own better interests very often. Yeah, and they've got to make a decision what they see and hear from. Yeah, I think obviously the team we've got now is really professional, and they're very sort of strict in how the rules are sort of dealt out and how we actually function as a team, and it's much more efficient. And you can definitely see the difference. But there's a profit to be made, isn't there? Obviously, because you're investing, Ben, so you're doing for a profit. And I think that idea wasn't there before. The idea of trying to make a profit wasn't there. Well, it wasn't a profit as a cooperative. It was just to try and reinvest everything. Yes, and it's no longer a cooperative now. No, this is a completely new venture. Is this basically a new company? Yes. Under the okay. Yeah, absolutely. New company, slightly new team. What's the commission? It's 10% plus VAT. Okay, and any monthly fees or anything like that? No, that's it. And at the moment, like I said, we're doing a promotion, which is £5 extra for every ride that you do. Right. So if every driver gets behind this, because I think the fees kind of was a good idea, but in the beginning, if you wanted people to get on it, you've kind of got to give away something for nothing. As a commission. Yeah, I think if you'd have said to everybody the app is free and the commission is this very small and enticement for, because you need every driver on it, because if you've got every driver on it, you're on the winner. Exactly. It's all about service. Yes. It's all about service. And so that's where we're at now. At the moment, we're onboarding drivers. Like I said, new apps out. We're really going to push. There's a full marketing
sort of team behind it now. So, you know, which we didn't have before. And that's that rocket fuel. It's, you know, if you don't have enough rocket fuel, you ain't going to get off. And so now we've got, you know, everything in place. We just need drivers to jump on board.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
So we've got to get drivers on there then.
Yeah.
How are we going about? How we, as if I'm a shareholder now, major shareholder and investor.
You carry on asking nice questions and you might be.
Yeah. How are we going to go about getting these drivers on there? Because I honestly, not that I'm a great business mind, but when this first came out, this idea, I could see this is the way that it could work. But cab drivers are sometimes a little bit short-sighted and want the quick fix, the quick money, the quick in. We
was talking about this the other day. I can't remember what podcast it was, but we was talking about this the other day where they turned it on and they're not getting the work, and then so they turn it off again.
Yes.
So they're paying their £20 a month or whatever it was. They're going, well, I'm not getting any work off of it. So then they pull out again. So then you'll get drive for 3 months, they pull out again.
Can I run the taxi app at the same time as running my other apps?
Yes.
Good question.
So same time I've got that on, so I can leave it on. I can
background.
keep my apps going, so I can keep supporting taxi app, and I can prioritise taxi app jobs when that comes in on my way, and I do those jobs. And I can also, when people get in, you do need to be saying, you did call me through another app. Really, you should use this one. It's better for all of us for using this one. And certainly, nobody likes giving away a percentage of their income. So if we can give away less of our income, credit card fees and commissions.
Exactly, and that's exactly what we're trying to achieve here. And obviously, with credit card machines, that may be something that we go into in the future if we can use our numbers to reduce that cost.
Yeah,
you know, and that's what taxi app. If you look at the actual business model, it's all based on reducing the cost to the driver. You know, the more work you do, the more points you get, the more dividend you get, the less you've paid overall over a year.
I think that's exactly the point. The fact that the drivers are the biggest shareholder, they own over 40% of it. If it does work and it's profitable, you get the money back effectively. So if we can convince drivers, if we get critical mass, then the commissions will be lower than everyone else, because no one else will be able to compete, because the drivers are owners of this, and no one else is able to give drivers a huge chunk of the business.
So basically, what it is, it's no longer a cooperative; it's now a partnership. That's the basics of it. It's the partnership with Ben's company, or Ben's investment, Ben's family's investment, neighbours' investment, and we're all partners, and we all want to make it better, cheaper, and fighting numbers. We've got a number. We want a number. We
just
want a
for
number
disclosure,
against
though, I am not a shareholder.
No.
So I have no reason to pitch you sort of pretty questions. I could tear into you if I wanted to.
Once you download the app, you are a shareholder.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Instantly.
Are you? Okay, well, I'll have that on my phone today. I'll become a shareholder.
But, you know, I don't feel like there's any reason why drivers shouldn't give it a go now. Obviously, some drivers will have this history of how it started and things like that. And look, we've all got our opinions on how things should begin and progress. But now they've got a chance to not have to pay subscription.
Yep.
Give it a go. Give it 3 to 4 months. They've not lost anything by doing that. And it's taxi only.
So we did
taxi only, and your partner's in the business.
And you've got the vetoes. You've got your 3 major non-halo sort of vetoes.
Yeah. You know,
aspects which are in stone,
Yes.
which Ben wrote out because he's a lawyer. He's got them, so they can't.
I was not a very good lawyer, so we did. I mean, the lawyer we got to do it is a great guy. He's known as Ketley, because very good at law, but he talks about the weather a lot. But other than that, he did a. No, he's very good.
No, he is.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of effort went into that.
So you've got this is all set out, but we didn't cover what's this controversy over the stealing of the app, and what is going on in the background with the people that are upset with you.
In that regards, I mean, this is a completely new app. I mean, unfortunately, the cooperative model didn't work.
Did you not think of completely rebranding then away from the name Taxi App rather than?
It was considered. Yeah. It was considered, but we never felt that we needed to.
Okay.
I think it's a great name. It does what it says.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
It's a taxi app.
It's a better name than any other app company or ride app company.
That's exactly what pushed me to take it, because if someone comes to London and they want a taxi and they want an app, that's what they're going to wite in their phone.
They're going to write Taxi App, I know.
And it helps the algorithm that you come up, you see. So, yeah.
The customer I took on Taxi App on last Friday, that's how they got the app. I said, did someone tell you about it? Did someone tell you in a cab? He was like, no, I just typed in Taxi App on Google and it came up. And I come from America, and I like the idea of it being only taxis, because I'm sick of Uber, and he's an American tourist. Do you know what I mean? So it was good. It was So what Phil's saying is absolutely right.
not having private hire, it's not conclusively not having it on the app is not conclusively a benefit.
Yeah.
I know why they're arguing against it.
They probably got their timing right as well, in my opinion, because
Who?
it's free now. They probably got their timing right to do what they've done, because it's not really a secret that you can get a ghost hail from a car. It's not exactly a secret. You can easily go on and find another app. So they've cornered a market where they can get everything on one app, and they've done it at a time when it was probably good timing. Whereas
What does Get do then?
Huh?
What does Get do? They do the same?
Get more corporate, I think.
Yeah.
They do a lot more corporate work. They got accounts with big city
Okay, so did
banks
that
and
Get
stuff.
basically took home Comcab and things like that, I suppose?
Yeah, they do like the London Underground contract, and they have got
One Transport.
One Transport, which is private hire.
Yeah.
So they've got that.
I mean, I think they're, just to be clear,
Yeah.
Get is a corporate one, so they are very expensive, but they spend a lot of their money looking after the big Googles and Apples of this world. And Free Now, so Get is an Israeli technology company. Free Now is owned by BMW and Daimler and took over, Mercedes took over Halo. But just to be clear, they're good apps. I mean, they've spent millions on these things. And what's lovely for us is the model being owned by the drivers is better for drivers.
Yep.
And we've got these great bits of tech out there to copy the best bits of and improve some bits where we see them. So now that we've got a stable app, it's brilliant. We've got a better financial model for everyone and the ability to copy great bits of tech. And, just if we come up with something that is brilliant, you bet your life Free Now will do the same thing. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
So I think it's a lovely position. We've got the big bad boys to aim at who do a brilliant job for the customers a lot of the time.
Yeah, well put. And when you mentioned about the stealing of the app and stuff like that, I completely understand where drivers are coming from, where they feel a little bit undermined by what's happened. But I think what we've got to do now is look forward and look at, actually, these guys have come on board and they really believe in us. These guys really believe in us and want us to get better and want us to go up against these other apps that you mentioned and be better, by not actually having to, bring other companies in like private hire. We can do it on our own.
Yeah. Well, with
partnership, because on our own was difficult because you've got so many different drivers' attitudes, whereas we need some help.
Without the fresh impetus that Ben and your neighbours are bringing, without this fresh drive, I think you would have finished.
Yes.
So if I'm saying, if I've got the hump, then I've got the hump about the fact you didn't finish because that was the road you were on.
That was the ultimate end. Correct.
So you can't really moan. You've got to say,
these guys were
good luck
tired.
to this
They were
survival.
tired. I could see it in their face. They were tired. They were tired. And there was a lot of people that wanted it to work, including me. I wanted the cooperative to work.
Yeah.
But it was tiring because you've got so many people with so many different opinions wanting to run the app. And it was just all cab drivers. You need some support from someone with investment, with professionalism, with a good background in business. You need that. It's
Paul,
important.
that's going to be one of the challenges. The great thing about London Hackney carriage drivers is there's you've all got opinions, which is great in some ways and awful in others. So, but it's true. So you've got this. So we've now got the management team running it, but they will get it right if they listen to what most people think and manage to put what most people think into action. But you have to work out how to filter that noise some ways and say, some people might be screaming louder, but actually the priority is bigger tips. For example, that's one of the things we're very excited about. But you need to filter the noise in the right way so that we make the right improvements. Yes,
because this is one of our complaints always. The loudest people in our industry are not the voice of all of us or not the voice of any majority. I feel a little bit buzzed for you because it seems you might have some impetus now to go forward and certainly fresh ideas.
Definitely.
Fresh push.
It's a fresh push, new rocket fuel.
Yes.
With a clear plan and objectives.
Has that fuel gone up though? That's the question. Every other fuel's gone up.
Yeah.
And you've sold me. I'm sold. I'm sold on Ben.
Yeah, me too.
But you're right. In actual fact, this Thursday we've got lots of us having a marketing session. How do we spread this word? Yep. And the truth is, so we've got a marketing team now saying you do this, and some drivers will get an email saying this is how it is, and they'll go great. Some people will need a half-hour one-to-one conversation.
Yeah.
So again, there's no magic bullet, but you need to put the time and effort to actually have these kind of conversations. So, you know, I looked at some of your YouTube clips, right? There's lots of listeners. Some will read, some will watch, and some will be convinced. Other ones are going to need more time. But I think the marketing to the drivers is nothing more than time and effort and patience. And the great thing is there's nothing to hide. You know, the more people who find out what the structure is really like, I had a cabbie the other day from Heathrow, and he didn't believe me until we were in the 43rd minute of our 47-minute journey. It was like I was showing him the documents, and it was like brilliant. And,
cab drivers are very, very. It's a difficult market.
Where's the
trust?
Where's the fix?
Trust. Where's the catch? Because they've been had over quite a few times. You get it. I mean, there's been a lot of companies, ride apps. I mean, you can go back years and years and years. They never used to call them ride apps. They called them radios, right? And they got sold on, and other businesses that are involved in the taxi trade got sold on, and corporate people. But at the end of the day, we need support from business because otherwise we can't operate. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
We can't just go round and round in circles investing in ourselves as drivers. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
You need outside
The biggest for me,
injections. It has to happen.
One of the biggest problems with the cab trade is its fragmentation.
Yeah.
You know, and everyone pushing in their own little. You know, we don't realise the potential and the strength if we just all get
join
together.
Again, we've been pointing that one out. Yeah,
and that's massive, and it's not just with apps; it's across the board.
Well, yeah,
with TFL, with the knowledge, with everything. You know, we really do need to sort of come together, and it's frustrating.
I'll compare it a bit with my business. Like, if I only had the cabs that I could afford to buy in cash, I'd only have a handful of cabs. But I need outside investment to grow that business. Otherwise, it's not going to grow, and I can't supply my market. Yeah. It's the same with every business that's involved in this industry, and any other industry, to be honest. You have to have investment. It's paramount. Otherwise,
just quickly going back to, about sort of how to get on and stuff like that. We will be down the ranks over the next few weeks. Yep. So you'll see our guys around, you know, in the stations, doing sort of stickers or flip seats. So, you know, it's just give them a quick shout and get on board.
So for me, I need the key things, which is it's a 10% commission plus VAT.
Correct.
It is owned, and you are a shareholder when you download the app and you work on it.
Correct.
It's taxi only and no private hire on the app. And what else am I going to do to tell these students that this is why? Certainly the Unity, I think. But this is it, the 10%.
The 10%, no private hire.
No private hire.
You get the veto, obviously, for commission, so that doesn't go up. So it's down to the drivers. So
commission can't go up?
Commission can't go up.
Unless all the drivers agree.
Exactly.
So you know the exact structure. There's 42% of the business is in a company owned by Guarantee. So when you download the app and you're a driver, you become a shareholder in that company that owns 42% of it.
Right.
And can't make any big changes, private hire, commission, or sale of the business, without that company limited by Guarantee approving it. So you've got one vote out of however many drivers download and use the app.
Yep. So it's not like a 51-49% board meeting where you've got the 51% of the shares, you can make the decisions.
No.
You can't make the decisions without the 42%.
Without the 42% voting for it.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're big changes. Obviously, you're not going to go to vetoes on little things like we need a new stapler.
No, I know. I mean,
it's just those three things that the company limited by Guarantee has got the absolute veto.
Yes.
They're not a vote veto.
So now it comes down to the fact that you had problems with the app before in terms of functionality, and now you think you've achieved that, although maybe it's early days.
Yeah, no, the app's performing really well. Quite happy with where we are now, but obviously there's a tech roadmap that we want to improve, and like I said, about giving more data to drivers eventually to be a better tool, because really that's a tool, isn't it? It's a tool of your trade, so we want that to improve.
Well, the more drivers that are on it, the more risk of functionality failing, I suppose.
No, we don't foresee any issues in sort of scalability.
Right.
No, they're not at all, actually. I mean, the guys doing it, called Onde, I mean, we are one of 60 clients all doing ride-hailing all over the world. So, and we've had the right conversation with them where they are as excited as we are about this. So they've put a lot of resource behind it, but they're the biggest of the ride-hailing businesses out there. So it's a proper bit of, none of this testing live data. It's all beta testing and complete stability. And when you have issues, which will crop up with Stripe, for example, you've got big tech players dealing with them for us.
So in terms of the drivers owning the 42%, you own the other 58%?
yeah, it's a mixture of the founders, the investors, and the management team.
Right.
Got the rest.
So you're on that. You're on
Yes,
that side,
yeah.
Phil.
Yeah.
And
He's in both sides. Yeah, he's in both sides.
You
Yeah,
got a foot in both camps.
Win-win.
And how many people are in your position with a foot in both sides?
There's 4 of us.
Okay.
So there's 4 founder members, and so we're on a sort of a part-time salary, but obviously we're working full-time.
Yeah.
So hence, yeah.
Well, hopefully, you can get a good salary, because I think people deserve, definitely, for the amount of effort.
Well, if they
we put
grow,
into
we
these
grow.
things.
If we grow, they grow.
Exactly.
It's like my business. If I've got more cabs, that means that the business is doing well. If you're busy on the road, I'm busy at the garage.
Yeah.
Agency, garage, whatever you want to call it.
So
it's a partnership. It's always a partnership out there.
Have you factored that part into your calculations, Ben, that the knowledge is kind of dwindled and under threat, and therefore, as we go down in drivers' numbers?
I mean, you had this conversation at the start. I mean, there's a real risk, isn't there? They're not going to be. I mean, London could cope with 5,000 more black cabs at the moment.
Definitely. I think so.
And that's one of the things that we are excited about. If you've got an app and a community that really does speak better than anyone else for the drivers, you've got a chance then to go to Sadiq Khan or whoever else and say, look after us properly.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there are far less roads now. That, you know, it used to be much quicker taking a black cab anywhere, and now you've got to be going in the right place to take advantage of those. And you know, you'd love more of that rather than less.
Yes.
But you need to speak with one voice for that.
And you need someone who can speak with a proper voice, an articulate voice.
Well, exactly. It's the right pushiness and eloquence without being too shouty, isn't it?
The taxi trade's a serious business. You know, it's a serious player in the transport business of London. It's a massive fabric of this city. Yeah. You know, and having our own app, I think, is powerful. Yeah. It's powerful. You know, and and we should all get behind it, whichever way it turns, just to keep it going and then go from there. I mean, I know there's people that are bang against the changes that have happened, but I hope that they can look forward now. And
maybe a bit of jealousy there. Give it a go. Are they people that were involved?
I don't know about that, and I don't want to say that because I don't think that's right. I think they're passionate. They're passionate. We're all passionate about this trade. You know, me and Phil, you, Ben's now involved. We saw Trevor here earlier. Massive passion for the trade. But we've got to be channeled in the right way, you know. Having a pop at each other is never going to achieve anything.
No, but the pop at each other is
never going to achieve anything.
Only ever done in the same way as road rage, where they're doing it from behind their windscreens. Because nearly every person that we shout at when we're in road rage is someone that you'd be drinking in the pub with, chatting quite nicely with. We're actually just fighting with ourselves. So a lot of cab drivers in this industry are quite extreme on their Twitter views and Facebook views, but if they came and sat around the table, suddenly they start coming out with something intellectual because they're having the debate. It's very easy for people to throw mud when you're... well, we spoke about Twitter earlier. I mean, it's just... we should just all avoid Twitter completely. It's just a load of rubbish.
If drivers can understand, if we have a successful app, the more successful we are, the bigger that voice becomes.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you're a black cab only app, it's obvious, you know, which corner we're obviously going to be fighting for.
Yeah. So we're going to have to make it a successful app. You're going to start doing more promotional work. I am going to work from the ground up. I am going to be telling people, every driver and all the ones that have just recently passed that, please try the taxi app, get on it, stay on it, work with it. It costs you nothing to work with it, but we can build this up slowly, and we're always sitting there in the background, creeping into the market share. And the benefits are immense because we are exclusive. We are the market. So if you come to London and you want a black cab, why shouldn't we just have one app that deals with us? And we won't need any other apps. If you want a black cab, you download Taxi app. That's how you get them.
That would be. I mean, some cities do have just one great local taxi app. I don't think that's ever realistic here because they're existing players. But you're right. The other thing I'd say is just patience. You know, we've now built it and it's stable, but there are so many improvements coming. So you're right, just download it, but just give us 3, 4, 6 months to make it as good as
chicken and egg sort of scenario with apps and stuff. But we are working flat out. I can promise you that.
Well, what's your projection, Ben, on trying to get your money back?
I mean, there's no. I mean, the key is how many drivers are on board and pushing it to there. So, you know, I remember when we did it, there's, you know, you always, when you build a business plan, there's always best case, medium case, and worst case. I think it's a little bit binary. You know, we've done the 2 bits, but if we get drivers on board, it'll happen very quickly. Right? So So I think in the next year the next 6 months probably, we'll know if it's working brilliantly.
Okay.
So it's a little bit, it's got to work fairly soon.
Can I have an idea of what the speculative target is to how many drivers you need to get on board by within the next 6 months?
I mean, it's what you said at the start. I think it's the better model. So there are, 17 or 20,000 black cab drivers, depending on how you count it, of whom probably 10, 12,000 use apps. I don't see why we shouldn't have 90% of them because they own it. So
Yeah.
They own it and they're on an app already. So they've been sold the idea of being on an app. They've bought into that. They know that their customer wants a good service, i.e., when they want the door to door service rather than going out in the street and hailing. So why shouldn't they give this a go? There's no reason why they shouldn't give this a go and buy into what these guys are really trying their best to do. And they've gone through some of these guys have gone through a lot of pain to get to this point.
Now, if you want more information, head to our website.
Yep.
You know,
I'll put that on the podcast, the
brilliant.
website.
And jump on board. Let's push this.